Thank you, everyone. I want to take the moment just to say good evening, and it's with great enthusiasm that I introduce to you all the Mind and Behavior Assessment Clinic, which officially launched in January of this year. We saw our first clients in April, and we're in the process of wrapping up our very first case. Please join me on the journey of demystifying the neuropsychological assessment process, and please also mind your behavior during this presentation. That was supposed to be a little joke. Next slide, please. So let's start with our history. In 2004, the Mind and Behavior Assessment Clinic was founded under its former name, the Psychology Assessment Center, by Dr. Steve Smith, who is a teaching professor, chair of CCSP, and Hospital Clinic director. In the years following the founding of the PAC, it was operated under the directorship of Dr. Landy and Dr. Brooks. Now, in 2021, 17 years after Dr. Smith founded the PAC, I have been charged with directing the clinic, which I renamed the Mind and Behavior Assessment Clinic. Next slide, please. So, why the name change? I changed the name to reflect the inextricable connection between the human mind and human behavior. There are so many mysteries regarding the human mind. As a result, we're left to draw many of our conclusions based upon what we can observe, which is behavior. Next slide, please. So think of behavior as an expression of the abstraction that takes place in our mind. For instance, look at this Rubik's Cube and think of the range of mental processes that are involved that would require you to solve it. And if I were to hand this Rubik's Cube to you, you'd think about how you'd line up each color. You'd start with by lining up all of the reds, all of the greens, and all of the blues. And when you realize that one approach doesn't work, you try another approach and you keep trying again and again and again until you've solved it. So we know that these processes occur, but we cannot physically climb into someone's mind to watch the phenomenon take place. So we look to human behavior to inform us of what's going on inside the mind. So think of behavior as an observable mental product. Next slide, please. So, what is neuropsychological assessment and what do we do at the MBAC? Neuropsychology is the study of the brain's involvement in processes such as thinking, feeling, understanding, reading, and more. At the MBAC, we assess these brain implicated processes by conducting comprehensive neuropsychological assessments. The assessments we administer can be thought of as activities. Some activities will require you to assemble blocks, such as the blocks you see before you. Other activities may require you to define vocabulary words, complete math problems, or complete questionnaires about your life. Results of these assessments provide us valuable information regarding an individual's challenges and strengths. Next slide, please. Our mission. The mission of the MBAC is multifold. Our foremost goal is to provide residents of Santa Barbara County and surrounding areas a low-cost option to quality, comprehensive neuropsychological assessments. We strive to provide quality services to everyone, in particular those who represent marginalized and underserved backgrounds. We believe that assessment of one's neuropsychological functioning ought to be considered an essential aspect of one's overall health. We're also a training clinic, which means that CCSP doctoral students will be conducting all aspects of the assessment under my close supervision. Doctoral students, known as graduate student clinicians or GSCs, will have opportunities to learn, practice, and master these neuropsychological assessments. Next slide, please. Allow me to highlight our commitment to diversity, inclusion, and social justice. We're committed to creating a safe, supportive, and empowering environment for everyone. We aim to build relationships with our clients that are rooted in respect, sensitivity, and empathy. Although we live in a society that is ruled by what divides us, we at MBAC believe that we operate best when we can learn from the perspectives that are different from our own. During the assessment process, we highlight the strengths that we see in our clients, and we identify ways in which those strengths can best be used. Finally, allow me to make it known that our commitment to our clients is unwavering, especially during times of economic, social, and political disharmony. As we navigate through these complex societal issues, we continue to strive to bring clients the highest standard of service delivery. Next slide, please. So presented before you are two first-year doctoral students in CCSP, Madeline Spice and Yvette Ramirez. In this photo, they're modeling what our assessment services look like in the context of the pandemic. In terms of our training model, the MBAC adheres to our practitioner scholar model, which complements CCSP scientist practitioner training model. MBAC GSEs learn to develop professional competencies through practical application. As director, I take a very hands-on approach to training the GSEs. All GSEs meet with me for one-on-one assessment training where they learn how to master these assessments. Next slide, please. I want to introduce you all to the collaborative neuropsychological assessment model created by Dr. Smith. Assessment is known to be really accurate, precise, and clinical. And those attributes are, of course, essential to ensuring the validity and reliability of assessment, but they can really disempower the examinee. In fact, there's often an aura of secrecy behind the assessment process. Sometimes examiners become so concerned with rigid adherence to standardization that they forget that the examinee is a human being. And when you think about it, examinees are placed in a vulnerable position because they're sharing information that they would not ordinarily reveal to others. Also, examinees are seeking an assessment during a time of need. So it's important for us to look at an examinee as a fellow collaborator in the assessment process. And as much as we're able, we want to invite the examinee to see what's behind the curtain. Next slide, please. So, how are we different from other assessment clinics? So we're not just different for being a training clinic for doctoral students, but our focus is on uniting two qualities that are often thought of as mutually exclusive in the assessment process, being clinical and being therapeutic. We at MBAC accomplish both. Another aspect that differentiates our clinic from others is that GSCs are trained to write reports through the lens of social justice. They consider the role of one's identity on functioning. In fact, when we're writing these reports, MBAC GSEs consider the multiple factors that have played a role in the client's current level of functioning, such as their class background or their upbringing or their accessibility to resources. We also make very explicit our understanding of the imperfect nature of assessments, and that historically assessments, in particular intellectual assessments, have been used to disenfranchise people of color, specifically Black people. Next slide, please. So thank you for lending me 8 minutes of your time, and I hope that you learn about who we are, what we stand for, and what we endeavor to do. We're a part of Hosford, which is in the Hosford Clinic in the Ed Building on campus, and we look forward to returning in the fall. Thank you.